Hey, welcome to my kitchen once again. So today we are making albondigas a la Diabla. So albondigas is just a meatball soup with a bunch of vegetables, and a la Diabla just means very spicy. So here I'm just crushing my garlic. It helps release all the juices, all that good smell of the garlic, and just kind of chopping it into halves just to make it smaller pieces. You don't have to, but I did. So here I have a yellow onion, half a yellow onion, just cut that in half as well. And we're going to use this foil to kind of wrap them in. This will give it a nice like steam, kind of steam and a charry outer layers as well. So just add a little bit of that oil and wrap it up. So we want to wrap it up tightly. That way we hold as much of the juices in there that we can. We want to go ahead and add those to our paste because we are going to be using this for our paste that goes in the albondiga broth. Okay, so just wrap it up tightly. You can use a second foil, which I am. I'm going to go ahead and use a second one just to kind of keep it all together. So just wrap it up, and we're gonna go ahead and place it. You can place it either on a pan or a cast iron. I'm gonna go ahead and put mine in my comal. This is my comal. This is where I warm up my tortillas, where I grill all my chilies, where all the magic happens is in this comal. So add your chilies and your wrapped onions and garlic. Chile de árbol, you can add more if you want it spicier, or less if you don't want it as spicy. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for this kind of charry, kind of like a burnt look. This is what's going to give it that smoky flavor. It's going to be awesome. And you might need to wear a mask for this because definitely there was some coughing involved. This chili is spicy. So now that it's ready, we'll go ahead and put it out to the side and just continue to cook our onions. And this is what our onions look like. Super delicious, right? Look at that garlic. So next we're going to put the chilies in boiling water. We're just going to submerge them to soften them. This will help with the blending process. So just go ahead and submerge them so they soften. And here it is. Also add chipotle peppers. I use mine out of a can. I used a blender cup. And this is the final result. This is what it looks like. It's a little thick sauce. Delicious. Now let's get chopping. Let's get to the vegetables. So this is the good stuff. So I use baby carrots, and I'm just cutting them in 3, kind of like a medium thickness. So see, it's not too thick, not too thin. So that helps with the cooking if you cut them up in halves or 3s. So cabbage is super awesome in any kind of soup, I think. So I'm just gonna add half a cabbage in big squares, big chunks. It looks like a lot, but once it's in the broth, it's not gonna be enough. But I'm just adding half. So then the next thing we want to do is the zucchinis, because zucchinis are awesome in soups. So I'm gonna cut mine in half, long ways, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just do chunks. Everything is in chunks here. It's a chunky, hearty albondiga soup. You want to cut them in big chunks because you don't want them to kind of get lost in your soup. You want to be able to have a bite with the nice zucchini in there, because zucchinis are very tasty. See, they're kind of thick. So this is what we're going for. And of course the celery. This celery, it's also not only taste but aroma. Once it's in the boil, you'll be able to smell it, and it tastes really good. It has like a bit of a crunch when you bite into it because it's not gonna be super soft. So you'll love the smell of celery. Just big chunks. And the corn, just snap it in half. You don't have to really cut it, just snap it. And I'm adding a potato. I'm leaving the peel on because this is a really nice golden potato. So I really like the peel. You don't have to peel it. If you used a brown potato, then yes, I would peel it. But this one, you don't have to. It tastes really good with the peel. So I'm just cutting the little bad parts because we don't want to cut the big chunk out of it and waste the potato. So just cut the little bad ugly parts. And like I said, everything in big chunks. And now for the best part. It gives it a great smell. The cilantro. You could put more if you like. Alright, and now for the fun part. Let's do the meatballs. So here I'm adding 2 tablespoons of rice. This is your starch. This is a starch that will bind your meatballs together. And 1 medium or large egg. I used a large egg. This also helps kind of stick the meatball together. Here we're just putting a little bit more of the seasonings, giving it that flavor. It might not seem like enough seasonings, but once in the broth, it's going to be great. So when you're making these kind of meatballs, it's kind of hard to tell like if you're adding too much or not enough of like salt. But don't worry about it because once submerged in the broth, it'll take some of that broth flavor and it will be fine. So go ahead and mix, combine everything together. Make sure everything's binding together. All the spices are evenly in every piece of meatball. You don't want to have one salty meatball and then the other with no flavor. So just give it a good mix. Make sure the egg is completely dissolved in there as well. These meatballs are going to be super juicy. So we want to form like a 2-inch, I would say like a 2-inch meatball size. That's a good size. Alright, so here I added onion, chopped onion. I forgot to mention it earlier, but chopped onion also gives it a great flavor. And just kind of mix it in there before we make our meatballs. So if you don't want to use rice for your starch, you can always use breadcrumbs. I personally like the rice best. So go ahead and make your meatballs. Like I said, you can always use a ice cream scoop or a cookie scoop to kind of portion your meatball size. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. This is how we do it. We just eyeball stuff. I think this is the funnest part actually, is making the meatballs. Alright, now we're ready for our broth. So we're going to go ahead and add a few ingredients. Like a bay leaf, the salt, and the beef bouillon. It might not look like a lot, but it's going to be very flavorful. So we're going to go ahead and add the veggies that take the longest to cook, like the corn and the carrots. These veggies usually take longer to cook. So we want to put those in first and let them kind of boil. Right, so let's go ahead and check our broth. Our broth should already be turning a color, more like a light brown color. You can always taste it as well, just to make sure that the spices are evenly. It tastes good. But I assure you, after you add everything else, it's going to taste better. So let's go ahead and add our potatoes and the rest of our veggies. This soup is almost done. Can't wait. Just be careful when you pour them in there because it will splash you and it is hot. Trust me, I felt it. So now we're just going to go ahead and submerge the vegetables just to kind of get that cabbage nicely submerged to cook evenly. Smells so good. So here I'm adding 1/2 cup of rice. I like to put rice in all my soups. It just cooks within the broth and it just tastes really good. I know like a lot of people make rice on the side for their soups, but I like incorporating mine in with the broth. So give it a try. It tastes really good. Now the fun part, let's add our meatballs. So we're adding our delicious paste that we made. I added just half of it, of what I made, because I felt like it was a lot and I had a lot of broth going. So now add your V8. This gives it great taste, like super good taste. We'll go ahead and let it simmer and let's check it out. Damn, this smells great. Give it a quick mix before we add the last of our spices. It's looking great. Everything looks delicious. You can always take a meatball out and taste it. Cut it in half and just to kind of make sure that it's cooked properly. So we added the chile de árbol and the cilantro. The cilantro gives it a great taste. All right, so here we are checking our meatball out. We are checking for flavor, color, super juicy. This is what your meatball should look like. No pink in the middle. And it's ready. Let's go ahead and serve it up and see what it looks like. It smells delicious. 2 to 3 meatballs per serving is perfect. And here you go, voila, it is done. Looks delicious. Well, I hope you guys try it out. Let me know in the comments if you guys like this recipe and enjoy. Thank you.